he was
Hey
talking about,
guys,
yeah,
Savage Joy here with Real Progressives. I am so freaking happy to be back. I have been missing you guys like crazy. As many of you know, I was out for a surgery, and I actually have an unrelated surgery coming up. So I may be having another medical hiatus, however. But right now, I was going through withdrawal, and I'm so freaking happy to be back. I've been doing like mock interviews in my head because I'm just going crazy. So tonight I am joined by Georgia candidate Brian Neil Rosser. He is a rock and roller who is progressive and ready to fight for we the people. So thank you so much for joining us, Brian. I know Brian's awesome because the first question he asked is, I can curse, right? I was like, yes, one of us, one of us. So thank you for joining us, Brian.
thank you for having me.
Absolutely. Um, so why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself? You're running for Georgia House of Reps District 5, and you are running as a Democrat. You were running unopposed, and now you're running against a complete Republican,
Yep.
not nice person. We'll get into that. But why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself and what inspired you to actually run for office?
Um, well, I've been paying attention to politics for a while, and I knew I didn't like anything that I was seeing. But this cat named Bernie Sanders, uh, that's when I felt the pull to get involved. Whenever I saw somebody come out and speak truth to my issues, to the issues that everyone is dealing with, and he packed stadiums. And now look at Beto, doing the exact same thing in Texas. So that was a big part of it. But primarily, um, there's two sides to policy. There's the side that deals with the outcomes, and then there's the side with the pen. And I've been on the side where we deal with the outcomes. And it's not a secret to any progressive that if this isn't an oligarchy, I've never seen one. Here in Georgia, we're dealing with the American Legislative Exchange Council. We don't have ALEC bills in Georgia. We have ALEC laws in Georgia, and the corruption, the cronyism, it's all so unreal that after a lifetime on the losing end of feed the rich policy, I want to be on the side with the pen. I want to be on the side of policy with the pen. I think I know what needs to be done. I know that, whenever people are campaigning, when they're discussing all these creative ways they've cooked up, that they're going to make the rich richer at the expense of the poor, and they're going to make it sound good. I know what that means. I understand the trends. I know that, tax cuts and deregulation over and over, it only goes in one direction. And I know what that means for all of us. When they run out of moves, we all lose. So that's the main reason I want to get involved. I don't think if we keep electing captains of industry or big pharma executives or whatever, we're going to get more of the same. I will vote for a chicken farmer before I will vote for another career politician like any of the representatives I have here, like Tom Graves, the House District 14 for U.S. Congress. I've never seen a more corrupt politician be so brazenly corrupt. And I think if we replace him with literally any textile worker, I think something might get done. So that's my message. That's what I'm trying to do. The policies that the people need, it's not a mystery. Greater minds than mine have already figured out what needs to be done. There's policy on the table. There are options that we have now. So I want to be a voice to stop shoving those options off the table and to use those options and to stand up for workers, stand up for literally anybody who isn't rich.
Absolutely. Yeah, but during the Bernie's 2016 campaign, it was interesting because all of this stuff, started coming out about how he would have been the first non-millionaire president in decades, which is insane. Why are we electing people who have no clue what it's like to live paycheck to paycheck, have no clue what it's like to work 40 plus hours a week, have no clue what it's like to have a mountain of medical bills? Why the hell would we elect these people? But we do.
The policies that benefit them, they don't live those policies. We do. That's the problem. I don't think, and I try not to, it's getting hard. It's getting real hard, but I try not to just forever cut down Donald Trump and complain about Donald Trump, because he's a symptom of the system that gave us Trump. That's the problem. We need systemic change. So I try not to really harp on that too much, but if it came down to him losing everything he had or being able to proficiently operate a can opener, I don't think he can do it. I don't think he's ever opened a can of food. I don't think he's ever prepared his own meal. I don't think he's ever, what does a billionaire real estate developer know about your problems? What does a hotshot insurance agent know about lowering the cost for you? Which, by the way, my opponent, insurance agent.
I know. I saw that. I was like, in the description, it said Baptist insurance agent. I'm like, okay. Now what?
He's got 2 clients, my county and my city.
Wow. And while I was, researching him, first of all, I think it's rad that you moved onto the general because you had no opposition, which was so amazing. And so now you're going up against this, he's an incumbent of 13 years. And he's the epitome of either a Republican / neo-lib dem. So he's, all about money, all about corruption. So there was something in an interview, in an article you had, where you said, let me see your exact quote, hotel incident. What is that? Because I couldn't find it.
That's a different guy. That's a different guy. Because the guy that I just said was the most corrupt politician. Because, it's pay to play politics, right? So, if you got money, then you can play the game. I couldn't raise enough money because I don't take corporate money, and I'm an introvert. No one knew who I was. But I was trying to take on Tom Graves. Tom Graves is 14th District U.S. House. Right now I'm running for state legislature against Johnny Meadows. But the hotel incident, I can speak about that at length because that is the most mind-blowing. These folks that before the collapse of 2008, they were the Tea Party guys, and they had their signs, no bailouts, no bailouts. Okay, remember that, no bailouts. Tom Graves and another guy, he was a state legislator. He was Chip something. I can't remember his name. They had this business deal with this thing. I think it was Titch Hospitality. And what they had done was they had bought up some properties, and they flopped on this one that was it's called the Oglethorpe Inn. They defaulted on the loan, the $2 million loan that they'd taken out. And there were ripple effects from that. What happened was the bank that they got the money from was Bartow County Bank and Trust. They went bust because they defaulted on it, and the FDIC had to step in and pay $69 million. I think it was million to cover this cost. And then the place was dilapidated. He made a whole bunch of homeless families here. People that probably would have voted Republican. This is, during the collapse or leading up to it. So there's a bunch of families living there, don't have anywhere to go, have been evicted. So they're living in this really bad motel. Then they had to find somewhere to go. Well, then this thing sits there and it becomes an eyesore and it's in disrepair. So the city has to get rid of it. So between the total number is close to $250,000, $250,000. So that is the taxes he owed on it that he did not pay, the demolition fees to get rid of it, and the taxes. I don't know if I said that already. We had to cover the cost of that whole thing, and he just came out of it unscathed, like nothing happened. And then he was this, the corporate cabal. He was their guy. You know, they knew he would do anything because then I guess he has to. They bailed him out. You know, somebody bailed him out. He got out of that mess somehow, but nothing ever became of it. And, you know, everybody just kind of lost something over Tom Graves. And he just keeps doing his Tom Graves thing, and I can't believe it. And we had a candidate. I was trying to qualify against him. And we had a candidate named Dr. Stephen Foster. I met him whenever I was walking out the Capitol building to qualify against John Meadows. I met this guy because it meant a lot to me that somebody run against him, you know. And he never told anybody that he had this DUI in September, and he's in Whitfield County. So now that whole thing came to a head, and it went through the courts, and now he's sitting in a jail cell until after the election. They threw the full force of the law at him over a misdemeanor. Now he made an ass of himself. He was drinking, you know, but they threw the full force of the law at him, and I'm pretty sure it was simply because he was Tom Graves' opponent. Like, I'm not condoning what he did. That is harsh, you know. That's unprecedented. That has never happened in Whitfield, to throw somebody in the slammer for that long over a DUI. That's never happened. So it was just, yeah. But yeah,
wow.
This guy he is the master. Tom Graves is the master of the political dark arts. He's such a bad guy. I don't like him at all.
He sure as hell sounds it. I was, you know, and why the hell did they always bail out people who already have enough money to bail their own asses out? That just doesn't make any sense.
Who has the policy? Who has the pen? You know what I mean? It's
crazy.
Like, at the end of the day, you know, there's all these tensions right now between men and women, and by God, there ought to be. But there's the racial tensions that have been there since Trump got elected. You know, the white nationalists are emboldened. There's all these things that are happening here, but like, yeah, I'm sorry. I'm just going to go on a tangent. I'm just going to keep going.
Oh, no, that's totally cool, because I was actually going to get to something kind of on that topic. According to my research, it says that your region is very Republican, and it gave Trump 75.2% of the vote. So what has it been like running as a Democrat in that area? Do you guys have a lot of those like vote blue no matter who types, or do you have people who want to try something new? What has the response been like?
Mixed, very mixed. But they're the people who are rational, that aren't really wrapped up in the blind tribalism of it all. You know, according to Fox now, 6 out of 10 Republican voters didn't get their damn tax cuts. And there's a lot of people around here who see that, and they understand that was a, you know, it's a bit, and they've been doing this bit over and over, and they've picked up on the pattern too. But I was working the fair, and keep in mind, you know, I'm not trying to disparage anyone. I stepped out of this culture. I grew up here. So that's how, like, this is how people are. But, you know, there's a spectrum of any political ideology, but the people who are really far right, there are a lot of them, you know, just like I'm on the far left of them. So I was working the fair at the Democrats booth, and I had my sign that says, you know, what did it say? How to drain the swamp. Step 1, make bribery illegal again. Step 2, keep it that way. And this cat walks over to me, and he starts explaining to me the violence is waiting for me for being there because it's a Stacey Abrams sign behind us. Do you know who that is? Stacey Abrams?
Yes.
Okay, yeah, she's wonderful. She's our champion here. That's the next governor. But he really didn't like her because someone told him somewhere that she wants to have all these powers that no governor has to overturn the Second Amendment. That somehow this woman is going to come and get rid of the Second Amendment, and we're all going to go kicking in doors and confiscating guns. So he like threatened us with violence.
Well, I was going to take their guns too. You just watch.
Yeah, we got more guns now. But and then another time at the same event, I worked there like a week in a row, and because that's where the people were going to be. That, you know, I go to where the people are. So there's this other cat that he's running the icy stand next to us, and he tells us, you know, if she gets elected, we're going to drag her ass out in the street and lynch her. And he was serious. He seemed dead serious. And then the other candidate that was with me, his name's Lee Shiver. and he's great. I love that guy. He's running for House District 11. He looked him in the eye and said, "No, the hell you're not. I bet you said the same thing when Obama got elected, and I bet you said the same thing when he got reelected." And the guy said, "Well, yeah, fair point." And then that was the end of it. But there's a lot of types like that. There's a lot of hostility. I get called a communist like 10 times a day. So, I mean, it's difficult, but I kind of signed up for that, you know. But my mom now, she's a lifelong Republican. She'll be voting. I think she'll be voting for Kim. I hope not. But, you know, she's been at events and stuff, helping me and talking with her Republican network of, you know, her coworkers and her family and friends about what I'm trying to do here. And I think some people are hearing it.
My concern about Stacey Abrams is when I hear about a candidate, the very first thing I do, is look at the trail of money, of their donations.
Me too.
He has accepted $63,000 from Soros.
Right.
That worries me.
Yeah. I understand that. That's my number one issue. Before I address that directly, understand that my number one issue, the reason everything is broken in this country, and I can prove it over and over again, is money in politics. That's, yeah, I fully, that upsets me too. But you know, we have a lot of people that around here, there's a very anti-union sentiment, and there's an anti-union sentiment because they don't want their money in politics. Of course, if they don't put their money in politics now, they're going to be, or get money to step into politics, they're going to be wiped out if they don't spend that money defending themselves in the political arena. So I don't like where the money comes from. I don't take that money. That's why I don't have a lot of money. I have more of a bid for office than a campaign. But I'm with you. I understand that. I absolutely understand that. But Brian Kemp, and I know that's lesser of two evils. Do you know much about Brian Kemp?
I don't. I know the name, and I know, like, loosely, like, generally.
Yeah.
But
I don't know. It's just, it's so hard. It's hard for me to be rigid on that position and be where we're at, because in the deep South, you know, like in Northwest Georgia, this is very, very red. There's not really going to be a lot of donors unless they're out of state donors. If you want to raise money, $27 at a time, I don't see that happening here. And my goal, if I can die knowing that I introduced Wolfpack resolution to overturn Citizens United and get money out of politics, if I get that through the legislature here in Georgia, I will die happy. But I understand. I absolutely understand. That's why I don't take the money, because I don't want to be beholden to anyone else. So to me, it's all bribes. But in this particular situation, I don't see any other way she could do it. I really don't, because their money is what the resources they have at their disposal is incredible. And we're at the Democratic Party is at a perpetual minority here. So that it's to get where we need to go. I don't see how they can not take that money. So that's one of the things that's so frustrating about it. That's so upsetting about being involved in politics anyways, because I have that same litmus test, especially where the money comes from. Like one of my issues is private prisons. I think that's wholly unconstitutional. I don't think justice for profit is justice at all. And I want CoreCivic and Geo Group the hell out of my state. And if you take money from them, I'm not going to vote for you. I'll never vote for you. If you take money from them and say, sorry, and give that money back and then determine at a later date that it's wrong, I can't vote for you. I can't. So I empathize with that 100%. But at the same time, I don't know how else to do it here.
Well, I think I think I might be more understanding if A, it wasn't in the primaries, and B, she hadn't taken money from Hillary in the past. That soured me. Just seeing their names together, and it's like I automatically just like, So
yeah. I'm a Bernie guy through and through. I understand, but an interesting thing that's happened, because a lot of people I lost a lot of friends, of my left-leaning friends over the 2016 primary, and my situation with that has kind of it is stabilized because both Bernie Sanders and Hillary Clinton came out and endorsed Stacey Abrams. And to me, that was such a genius political move because we were really divided. We really were. And I don't know that we were going to get anywhere with this. And now everyone has rallied behind Abrams so that we can try and get her elected. And we're all putting in the hours. We're all opening up our wallets. We're all really trying, knocking on doors, making the phone calls. I've never seen a push like this ever. And I feel like that had a whole lot to do with it because I just don't see it anymore. And I understand that wound is still open in places. And I don't like what happened to Bernie one bit. But as far as the landscape here in Georgia, I don't know. I think that's just kind of an interesting characteristic of how the dynamic has changed here because there were some people giving me hell, a lot of hell for loving Bernie. And maybe, now they're probably pretty excited about Amazon, why we love Bernie. But I get your point. Again, I'm in agreement. I understand.
What is another so-called litmus test for you as far as who you would support as a candidate or promote as a candidate?
How if somebody has an opinion that they got paid to have, I can't respect that person, let me think of a good example. Like fracking, or how about this? Like Joe Manchin in West Virginia, and he'll be posing a picture and he'll say, "I stand with Planned Parenthood," and then he'll get another sign with this other group of supporters that says, "Pro-life. I'm standing up against Planned Parenthood." Is every thought you have for sale? Is that how you if the things that come out of your mouth wholly depend on who donated to your campaign in the primary and who donated to your campaign in the general, then what good are you? What are you going to do? You're going to be a shill for industry. You're going to look out for the top 1/10 of the 1%, just like all the people that have made it in there already. That's why Congress is a cesspool of bad intentions and a millionaires club. So that, to me, I understand in Republican strongholds to a degree taking money from some corporate entities, because if we don't get money out of politics, then we're always going to be on the losing side, and we're always going to have to compromise our values. But think hard about where that money comes from. If we have here in the United States, we have a 501c3 and a 501c4 that completely dominate legislative outcomes in regards to gun legislation. And they get their way every single time, and they buy all our policymakers. So you get the point. If you sell your beliefs out just for that check, then what good are you? That's pretty much my main litmus test. And if you don't support single payer, I'm not voting for you. If you don't know what House Resolution 676 is, I already don't like you. So
absolutely. I mean, I've worked in healthcare for over a decade, and especially in the past month alone, I can't even tell you the medical bills I've accrued. Oh. So I've fought for this for years, but now I'm at the point where I'm like, okay, I'm faced with keep paying these bills, or I'm not even going to get into the things that could happen if I don't have these procedures done and things like that. So you're stuck in this situation where, do you want to survive? Do you want to, still try to live a good and fruitful life? Or, you're put in this predicament, and
because we don't have a healthcare system. What we have is a hostage situation. Mm-hmm. Straight up. That's all it is. It's
Absolutely.
racketeering. I hear you. So what have your experiences been like with this last procedure you had to have? Like what?
Well, that was getting my gallbladder out. The one that's coming up is a lot more invasive. But this one, I was out of work and I don't get sick time, so that didn't help. But last month I became legally blind, and I had to start getting injections in both of my eyes to try and retain what sight I have left. So each of these injections is over $12,000 for each eye, and I get it every 4 weeks. So that's $24,000 after, because they still come out to like 1,200 a piece. So you're okay. Do I go blind or do I pay for these injections? What are my choices? And if I don't get the
And
injection, I
when
don't.
somebody tells you, like, let the free market handle it. We don't need socialism here. That's never worked anywhere.
Mhm.
All these arguments against single payer. Like, where do you go from there? Like all that you just explained. Where do you go from there? Like what's the point in this? It's I don't know what is it? Something like 45,000 Americans die every year because they're too
Yeah.
poor to pay that ransom to the health insurance cartel or to big pharma. So like, I just don't understand it. I don't understand it. Like why so many people are content with this, or why so many people get on party lines to say that's okay.
Because
It's unreal.
it hasn't happened to them yet. Unfortunately, that's it. Our country has a horrible problem with lack of empathy. It's well, that doesn't concern me. But then the second something happens to them, it's like, whoa, okay, wait, maybe we should look at this, and it shouldn't have to come to that.
Yeah, cancer don't care. Cancer don't care if you got an R or a D by your name. It just doesn't care.
Mm-hmm.
And that's no one's safe from it either. No one's safe. And that's like, okay, can I get off on a tangent? It's related to healthcare.
You did on your platform. You do have Medicaid expansion as well, which I know some states do have that, and it's been working amazingly.
Yeah, 33 states in DC.
Wow.
It works. It works.
And a lot of people with disability, they may have Medicare, but they still have, limitations. And Medicaid expansion is what gives them their medications and, specialist appointments and stuff. These people need these things to survive.
Yeah.
So what kind of things have you seen progress with the Medicaid expansion?
Like as far as the momentum it's picking up here, or the problems that it'll solve. I think it was, I want to say it was Kyle Kalinske on Secular Talk. I'm pretty sure it was him, or it might have been, don't quote me on that. But I saw somewhere the other day, and I remember being like, oh, that's pretty reputable. I feel like I can get behind this. Talking about how 51% of Republicans here now approve of Medicaid expansion. And I don't know why anyone's opposed to it. And there's a lot of people who are just calling it socialism because everyone has decided, anything that comes from the left is socialism, and the word no is now socialism. But it's a win-win. It's absolutely a win-win. It's one of those circumstances where the fiscally conservative pro-life thing to do is the progressive humanitarian left-leaning thing to do. I don't see how there's any argument against it other than it's really just party lines, because we win across the board. I cannot find a way where the state loses if we expand Medicaid, but my God, we have to. It's horrible here. It's horrible here. Where are you?
I'm in Harrisburg, Pennsylvania area.
Okay. So have y'all expanded Medicaid?
No. No. And I mean, I have a full-time good job. My husband has a full-time good job. I don't even, I wouldn't even bother applying, to be quite honest with you. I don't see how, it's
it would
not.
drive your healthcare costs down. It really would. It absolutely would drive the costs down.
But I used to work for medical assistants, and we always went by people's incomes. And if you file joint taxes, which we do, they actually compile both of the incomes. So it's just, yeah, I wouldn't even attempt it, but it's, it sucks that people can be put in that predicament. It's really crazy. And, working in healthcare, I've heard these stories. I understand, but like, it's just so bananas. And I think, what if I had kids? What if, you know what I mean? I'm very fortunate to have a job and to have a home. And, you think, what if someone else was in this position? And,
That's why you're a progressive, because if like someone in your zip code is screwed, it bothers you. So.
Yeah, but it's so depressing being an empath, because you're like, oh, that person's hurting. Oh, and then you're like, okay, now I just want to cry in the fetal position all day. But I digress. So that's definitely something we need to have on our platform. I saw Andrew Gillum for a while after he won the primary. He stopped saying Medicare for all. He started saying improving the ACA. This is my fear. And, what do you think about that? If people start kind of, going back and saying improve the ACA.
Like, I'm all for expanding Medicaid, right? That's because that's that's something we can do. We can do that tomorrow. But we can also do single payer tomorrow, and anything but single payer it's a Band-Aid. It's a bunch of crap. It's not gonna, it's still a part of a ultimately, I believe it is what Jimmy Dore calls it, is a right-wing healthcare plan with no cost control. We don't want that. We don't need that. That's why I say that healthcare is a hostage situation. I didn't know he'd walk that back. I still hope he wins because of, what if he doesn't? But
but he's touring with Debbie Wasserman Shill.
Oh man,
you didn't hear about that?
No. I got my hands full here in Georgia. Have you seen this crap? Oh my god.
He's Hillary's going out with him, and Blumenthal's going out with him, and now Debbie Wasserman Shill is going out with her.
That's my litmus test.
Yeah, like, I'm sorry, I can't. Like, there's nothing he can say. Like, he was a Bernie or a Hillary delegate as well. So I'm like,
here's the contrast. Like, whenever I look at that upsets me. Whenever I hear that genuinely upsets me.
Mm-hmm.
But
he duped my ass. I'm telling you. During the primaries, I'm like, yeah.
That's
like,
why. Really? That's why I'm thankful for Stacey Abrams, because there are legitimate criticisms of any Democrat, and I'm the kind of person who will I can't look at the corruption on the right without first acknowledging the corruption on the left. We need to lead with our values. We need to do what we say we're going to do. We got to mean what we say. So I don't make excuses for them. And in certain cases, it just is what it is. But here's why Stacey Abrams, to me, why it's so important that she gets elected. The first bill that went through the Georgia General Assembly to try and expand Medicaid was called the Expand Medicaid Now Act. The House minority in the House of Representatives presented that bill. At the time, that was Stacey Abrams. And I know she's not going to walk back on that, because that's always been the thing that was trying to do. And she hasn't dialed that message back at all. And she is hardcore. She doesn't dial anything back. She's been saying, one of the times I heard her speak, she was talking about Confederate monuments. And in Northwest Georgia, that's, for all the other Democrats, that's really hard to navigate.
Yeah.
But she was talking about sandblasting off, and I don't know if she was saying it seriously or but sandblasting off Stone Mountain, and it was literally paid for by a part of the KKK. That whole thing was decided that was going to be made when the KKK reformed at Stone Mountain. And she's hardcore. She doesn't dial back anything. So the first time I heard her say it, she said that we at least need to put it in some kind of historical context, so people know what this really means. But she didn't walked back on it. She's never taken it back. So that on that issue, I'm not really, what I understand why people would be upset by them. I don't think they should be on public land. That's just me. But as far as healthcare, she has a proven record of trying to solve that. So, like, I don't know. I guess I'm just thankful that she's walking the walk. Now that I know that the guy down in Florida has already said, never mind on this thing.
Well, he's taking lots of big money now. I'm not talking about Soros. I'm talking big money. The past few weeks, I mean, it's just been coming out like crazy. He duped us all, man. And it's a shame because I thought he was a good dude. Like, I really did. I really wanted him. And damn.
I'll look for connections in things like events where things happen and like what inspires what influences what. I'm really a big picture person. So what's the guy he's running against?
It was Perry.
Perry. He was the guy that said the don't monkey this thing up. Was that him?
Yeah.
So how many of his donors heard that and they're like, oh shit. And then they're like, hey guy, we're trying to get this thing done, but our guy just committed career suicide and we can make it real easy for you to get elected, but I don't know. That's just speculation, but probably.
Yeah, it's so crazy because like I used to think back in the day when I would be like, oh man, they just totally screwed themselves. They'll never get elected now. And then I'm like, okay, wait, we have Trump. That ain't gonna happen anymore. Now it's like the more you say, the more people are like, yes, you speak your mind. It's awesome. Yeah. But yeah, now I'm going on a tangent.
If you notice though, like one of the guys I mentioned earlier, Lee Shiver, he is, he's got his one issue, and his one issue that he goes around and talks to people about, it's divisive. It's hard to talk about, but he's got some really great points that a lot of people agree with, bipartisan, but he doesn't take all that money. And I'm pretty sure if he solicited, he could get it. One of the other guys that's running, his name's Michael Morgan for Senate District 54. And he doesn't take that corporate money, and he's a scientist. He speaks 8 languages. The man is brilliant. He's wonderful. Wow. And he's as progressive as they come, but he doesn't take that money. So if you don't take that money, no one's looking at you. So these great candidates who have so much to say, like Rick Day, he's running against Speaker of the House here. That dude is great. That dude is hilarious. Like, he posts Rick and Morty memes. This guy's great. But he doesn't
What's
have...
his name? I gotta look him up.
Rick Day. This dude's, he's wonderful. You'd love him. But we don't have a lot of money. And the class of voter that we're trying to reach, they don't exactly have a lot of money to pour into a political campaign. So there's all these real candidates that it's exactly what you want. It's exactly what you're looking for. But they don't have that corporate apparatus behind them. So they're not taken seriously, and they don't have the same platform. They don't, to get their views out. People can't hear it. So I don't know, like that's kind of indicative of the, what you were talking about. So if we could, find a way to elevate candidates who don't have all this money, well, what do you do?
Yeah, I mean, I'm so thankful to be on a show on independent media, because I feel like Facebook has, like, social media is like the best thing to happen to progressives. It really is. Oh. Like, I mean, it's phenomenal. And, that's where everybody hears about candidates. So, I've had my buddy Joe Tremor Train on a few times, and, Team Bag of Dicks. Yeah. I see him watching. So some of you guys might remember Joe. I had him a few times. He was literally sent a bag of gummy dicks from his county in the Democrat.
Richmond County.
County, Democrat local, which I call it, like, local office.
Yes.
He was sent a bag of gummy dicks. Because dare he be progressive? Dare he speak up? He was also arrested and escorted out of a meeting that he had every
He has a
right.
restraining order that he does not have. He can be there. He can attend the meetings, but they keep telling him, no, you can't be here.
Mm-hmm. And then he has to go through 7 years of psychological evaluation before he can get back in. And just absolutely, just completely absurd. So, and not just that, but now I'm hearing things about, coming up about them only allowing certain people to canvass and campaign for candidates. Like, they are literally saying, no, you can't go door to door for us because you're not like neo-lib enough, essentially.
If you want to earn my vote, you need to send Joe to my door. There are a lot of people that think like I do. Like, what? I understand what's happening here. There's that power struggle, that internal dynamic that is, they're kicking this guy around, but Joe's kind of, that's who I want running the party. You know what I mean? Like, it's people who see through the BS just like him, who have a vision of the future, who know the issues. That's really important to me, because he's one of those people that gets affected by bad policy. He's just like anybody else. He's humble, but he's also willing to fight for what he believes in. That's exactly the kind of person that I want running for office, or running, being the local leadership in the local committees. That whole thing pisses me off. It is really, really upsetting. And I see how hard he works to try and get his views out there, to let people know that they're not alone, to elevate candidates who have a real vision, who know what they want to do, and who know the issues that people are dealing with, because they're just like anybody else. They're not a fat cat. They're not a wealthy CEO or an oil tycoon. They're just some dudes he knows. It pisses me off. If he was in Gordon, he would be an asset. And I think it would be an asset to Richmond County if they quit butting heads with him. I don't get it. I mean, I get it, but I don't. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, Joe said, "Love you, Brian. We're going to turn this thing around."
Hell yeah.
I love you, Joe. You know I love you to pieces. This is, it's people like you guys that give me hope in the movement. And it's just like doing this, just, it inspires me getting to talk to people who have that fury. So as far as environmentally, I know you said that you brought up fracking. What other things environmentally would you like to see change?
Teachers are broke. Teachers are broke. Teachers are getting screwed. And I was the guy that, with No Child Left Behind, I was a child that got left behind because it made good business sense to leave me behind. But I was in, it wasn't that long ago that I was in the schools, and I saw the crap they're dealing with. Now, I look for solutions, solutions that no one else is saying, but it just makes sense. Environmentally, I think one of the best things that we can do here is to start to solarize all public infrastructure advantageously, economically. Do it for a reason. If you're doing schools, that's going to save a ton of money, but you're also reducing our own carbon footprint. Another thing that I would like to see is maybe stop dumping coal ash in the water. That would be cool. I would really appreciate that. But really, it's my area of Georgia. It had that. There are the major polluters. We've got I think it's Plant Hammond in Cartersville. That's one of the largest fossil fuel polluters, or coal polluters, in the Western Hemisphere. That Southern Company. I want to see all that crap shut down. There's no point in it. It's the economically sound thing to do. The pro environment thing to do. I don't see a reason why we wouldn't. But fracking, oh my God, oh my God, what they have done to us here. We have been completely thrown under the bus here. Do you mind if I kind of
No, absolutely.
Okay, so I just spoke at the county commission, Gordon County Commission, about that. I've been trying to tell everyone that'll listen. And there was a bill that passed through the General Assembly in the 2017-2018 legislative session. It's called House Bill 205. And that bill is built by cronyism. That's all it is. And it's been sold by all the media outlets as an anti-fracking bill, as a measure to regulate fracking. No, that's not what they're doing. It establishes a regulatory oil and gas board to dole out fracking permits. The person who is in charge of, or who is on the board, or who will appoint people to the board, that's the ex-vice president of Southern Company, and another sitting chair member of, what was it, SunTrust. Yeah, heavily invested in the Dakota Access Pipeline. So there's your first red flag. But if you read through this bill, it's only 18 pages long. I've read it at least 15, 20 times now. The bills that cause so much trouble in places like Oklahoma had tighter regulations than this bill. But what scares the hell out of me, they're trying to get to this shale bed, the Conasagua shale bed. It's just fossil fuel or natural gas that runs from about the center west side of Georgia up to the top center. And it's huge. It's really huge. But it is beneath our water. It's beneath our water. And there is 3 prominent fault lines that no one has taken into account. My county, Gordon County, sits on the edge of one of these, and it's encapsulated in fault lines. So the wastewater disposal from fracking, it's not like it might cause earthquakes. It causes earthquakes like clockwork. So what they're about to do is bring in all these companies to start fracking here, ruining our water here, ruining our environment here, causing earthquakes here. And people think it's an anti-fracking bill. That is simply not the case. There is so much crap. Oh, Lord. And then a fossil fuel conglomerate, one from Texas and another from Oklahoma, have already bought up the mineral rights to all the counties surrounding mine. Like this whole thing is, it's in motion. This is all leading to somewhere. And there's all these moving parts. When you look at it, it all amounts to, hey, we're going to have flammable tap water soon. But it's not a sexy issue. But fracking wasn't here before House Bill 205, but now it is. And we're actually starting to experience earthquakes already. So we're not ready for it, but here it is. Nobody wanted it, but here it is. So that's a big one for me, because it's not going to work any different here than it works anywhere else. It's going to do the same thing here that it's done everywhere else. Why would the state with the 4th highest infant mortality rate bring in an industry that always results with a sharp uptick in spontaneous abortion, where women just lose their babies, miscarriages? That's not a very pro-life thing to do, but that's what they did. In fact, that bill is why I went ahead when I found out I couldn't raise the funds to run against Tom Graves. That's why I decided to run against Johnny Meadows, because he wrote the bill. He wrote House Bill 205, and it's just a disaster. I could talk for hours about this bill. I never know when to shut up. There's so much wrong with it.
That's an atrocity. The guy you're running against, have you debated him, and or are you going to be able to?
I would love to. I would really love to.
My candidates always say that, but the Republicans never seem to have the balls.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know any other better way to put it than that. I'm going to a candidate forum tomorrow, but that's with the Chamber of Commerce, and I know he'll be there, but it's the chamber. So you don't get to, influence the discussion. You just get to answer the questions they ask. So it's a question of how are you going to make rich people richer? It's never about, the issues that people are concerned about. And if you say, actually, I don't think people care about that, let's talk about Medicaid, they'll kick you out. They'll make you leave. So that's about as close as I will get, I guess. And we just get to talk about our qualification and answer some questions. And, he'll answer some questions that, any entrenched politician knows how to answer. But that'll be about it. I wish he would debate me. I really do.
I like, honestly, you have the balls to just be like, you know what? While we're both here and say it on stage, can we have a proper debate?
I would love to. I would really love to.
Call
He's
him
an
out.
insurance agent. That's why he won't. He's an insurance agent. He put a bill through Money in Politics. Remember, that's my thing. He put a bill through that failed, and then he later went through other channels to get it passed, and it actually passed. But it made a mandatory 5% commission for all insurance agents in the state so that they had to get paid more. That money comes out of the premiums. That means your premiums are going up. That means he's raising his own wages in his capacity as an insurance agent from the House floor. And of course, he's not going to debate me, but I really wish he would. Oh, God, I wish he would.
That would be beautiful. Oh my God, that'd be amazing.
And like I said, he's probably an okay guy. I don't hate the man. I don't hate the man. Like I said, I'm sure he pets his dog, but he should debate me. The dog is spiraled out of control under his watch.
Have you seen any quotes that he's given about you?
No, he's not gonna make me any bigger than I am, and that's smart. That's exactly what he should do. So that's the same reason that the paper really loves him. And to be fair, I was an ass to the editor of the paper here, the Calhoun Times, but they kind of just cut me out of everything. But they really like Johnny. He probably wasn't such an ass to them, but
well, he pays their bills, so
Well, I wish he would. I wish he would. I would like to. That's actually been bothering me a lot because I've talked with my state senator. That's Chuck Payne. By the way, if you're watching and you live in House District 54, vote for Michael Morgan because that old boy don't give a damn about you. But I got to argue with him, and that's about the most I've gotten out of any of my legislators. Otherwise, nobody cares. Nobody wants to hear anything from me. But I would really, really, really love to have a debate with somebody and challenge these ideas so that people can see these ideas, progressive ideas against right-leaning ideas that are really pro-corporate and do nothing for you. I don't know why people are defending it. So I've just been looking for what any high-ranking Republican is saying. So now that's just kind of the chair of the Gordon County GOP. Her name's Kathleen, and she's a perfectly lovely, kind woman when you're talking to her face. But the things that she's saying, I just kind of go after her now. I'll quit arguing with this woman all the time and challenging everything she says. If you guys will debate me, if John Meadows will debate me, but I don't see it happening.
Yeah, no, it sure as hell doesn't sound like it.
But anyhow, I don't care. I'll debate Brian Kemp. I'll debate if it's an elected Republican. Please talk to me. Let me argue with you. It'll be fun.
The topic I want to close on is something my audience is definitely passionate about, and I don't mean that in a humorous way. You have on your platform a legalization of cannabis. So can you explain why that's important enough to put on your platform, and also where you think that, should you get elected, where you think you can proceed with that?
Well, that's a huge issue. I've got a lot of opinions about that, but I guess mainly where I'm coming from is, we have baby prisons. Geo Group has baby prisons here. We're committing genocide in Yemen. The Tax Cuts and Jobs Act just redistributed $1.9 trillion to corporations. 86% of those tax cuts went to the wealthy. There's no shortage of things that are wrong. Don't tell me that I can't cope. That I can't. I just don't understand it. It's purely economic, I guess. You know, there has to be a reason to keep throwing people in these private prisons that I can't stand, or to, you know, be tax collectors for the state. But the benefits massively outweigh any problems that come with it. But really, at the end of the day, it's just the right thing to do. I believe in democracy, and people overwhelmingly want to legalize it. You know, and to me, my idea of democracy is if you were born into this world by no choice of your own, then yeah, you kind of have a stake in what goes on around here. And everybody wants marijuana legalized, but it's not happening because we get the same cabal. It's going to step on fentanyl's toes. It's going to step on oxycodone's toes. That's what's going on. So I want it legalized, but I don't want the people who have been spending billions of dollars to lobby against it. I don't want them to get one damn dime off of it. I don't want them to make a penny off of it. But like there was a woman and her husband, Lord, I can't remember their names now, but they had I think it was a 16-year-old kid. He had seizures, and he'd been smoking pot because, see, you know, it makes the seizures stop. So they can't get on this 6-year waiting list. They can't get this, you know, for CBD. They're just supposed to like let their kid have seizures for the next 6 years so they can actually get it. No, they ended up getting let off, and they walked for it. But that they were in that predicament in the first place is disgusting. And there's, to me, you know, it's almost like a libertarian approach that, and I'm by no means a libertarian, but that whole, you know, don't tread on me thing. Who are you to tell another person that they can't walk around with this flower in their pocket? You know, it's not hurting you. It's not hurting anyone else, but it's good medicine for a lot of people. You know, that guy that, you know, threatened violence at me at the fair, you know, I bet a joint could do him some good. And if you'll notice by the way I'm talking about it, like I understand medical purposes, but that's not good enough. That's not good enough, especially everything that's happened to people. All the times people have been told no by their elected representatives that are supposed to be representing their values, using the power of office to help them in some way. But they should have already done this. But it's always about doing something to you rather than for you. There are so many people. I think I ran a poll just in my little echo chamber to see how it shaped up, and then I threw it into some right-leaning places. Republicans want the same thing. You know, this isn't partisan. So that's a huge issue for me, because if that would be wonderful to not have to, like, you know, be concerned about, you know, if your kid's having seizures, to not be concerned about jail time. But that would be a win for democracy, because that's what people want. That's overwhelmingly what people want. And if I get elected, I don't know that I can get it legalized, but I can sure raise a racket trying. And I have my little framework that I've put together for a bill. And right now it's tentatively called House Bill 420. But I would like to at least introduce that, because I think that would, you know, maybe the third time around that might have pretty heavy support.
Absolutely. And, you know, something I've certainly learned through, you know, this whole process of doing the show and everything is that even if candidates don't win, them bringing these subjects up while they're running against these other, you know, these corporate people is so advantageous. It's, you know, it's just like when Bernie ran against Hillary, like we got fucked over, but at the same time, he inadvertently made her start going more left because she saw that that's what the people wanted. So she started kind of gradually getting, you know, more into ponies, as it were. And that's what I see happening. She's in a bestiality. No, but that's what I see happening with, you know, candidates. They're bringing up the important issues, whether they win or not. And, you know, that's pretty powerful. So if you want to leave our audience with one thing, I know you said that October 9th is the deadline to register. So, you know, definitely if you're in Georgia, please register, even if you're not sure who you're going to vote for, or if you're going to vote, just register. It doesn't matter what party you are now, also because it is the general. So, and if you're not in Georgia, please look up online, look up the date that you need to register by. It's super important. People keep talking about 2020, and yeah, that's all good, but if we don't get the right people in next month, we're not going to have a good choice in 2020. So we need to focus on the now. So anyway, Brian, what do you want to leave our audience with?
Well, if I have to pick one thing, it's don't be a chicken shit. If you feel strongly about what's going on, and you look at your representatives, look at the people who are calling the shots. Those people aren't smarter than you. Those people aren't better than you. Those people don't know something that you don't because they got a master's degree. They don't, this whole thing isn't taboo for regular people to go and do. And if we want change in this country, what needs to happen is labor needs to step up the fight against management. In the Powell memorandum, where Lewis F. Powell wrote to the Chamber of Commerce and said that, talking about American enterprise, that our political power has to be assiduously cultivated and used without hesitation. That's what we have to do. That's what regular people have to do. So I want to see overwhelming democracy. I think that if more people step up, more primaries, more candidates moving towards a general, more pushing back, that's something, because I've already made my opponents spend more campaigning against me than I've even raised, and that counts. And then the other thing, the last thing I would say is, if you are watching this from Gordon County or the southern part of Murray County, vote for me. I promise you. I promise you I'm not going to knowingly screw you over, but I can point to all the ways that you have been screwed over. I am in your corner, whether you have a D or an R by your name, or you're an independent, or you don't know. It's your health I'm concerned about. It's your wages I'm concerned about. It's your household I'm worried about. And I want to do, like I said earlier, I believe it's the job of government to do things for you and not to you. And we're all getting screwed. So I don't want your money. I do want your money if you got it to give. But at the end of the day, I don't want your money. I want your vote. And that's what I would end on.
This show to all of your friends in Georgia, or send the link in Messenger. This is how a lot of our of how a lot of candidates get these votes, because it's not just doing the show, but it's that people actually then promote these candidates. And a lot of times people who live in these districts are not familiar with these candidates. And here's an hour of, really, candid conversation that can show them, what Brian's really like. So don't forget, you guys, we have the upper hand right now. We have the power to say, look, I'm not going to vote for you unless. Whether that's true or not, I don't know. Make it true in the moment. But just tell them, look, you need to earn my vote. We want Medicare for all. We want these things. Are you going to give your word that you're going to fight for this? If not, I'll take my vote somewhere else. Like I said, you don't even have to mean it. Just say it and mean it in the moment. And that'll scare them enough to consider it. Trust me, they want your vote. So we have that upper hand for the next month. We need to pound on those doors of those so-called representatives and make them listen to us, make them earn our vote. Friday night, I have Bernie Krat, Michael Doyle coming on. He's running in Pennsylvania. He's endorsed by REV and all those fun groups. So he will be joining me 9 p.m. Friday night. And again, it feels so damn good to be back. Thank you again, Brian, for joining us. And you are freaking amazing. And I adore you. I wish you the best of luck with everything. Please keep us updated for sure.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for letting me talk. I appreciate it.
Absolutely. Take care, guys. Thank you for watching.